Sometime within the past day, a woman looked you over. Not on a screen, not in your imagination, but in your real, everyday life. At the grocery store, at the gym, as she passed you on the sidewalk, or from across the table at a coffee shop. She looked at you. Her gaze traveled across your frame, your face, your hands, the way you carried yourself. She observed you, made an assessment, experienced a response, and you remained completely unaware it occurred. That's because the way women observe men is fundamentally different from how men observe women. It's not the same action, not even similar. When a man notices a woman he finds appealing, he looks directly, openly, sometimes awkwardly. The male gaze is a floodlight, blunt, glaring, and difficult to overlook. The female gaze is a stealthy beam, exact, purposeful, and crafted to stay hidden. She looks when your attention is elsewhere. She assesses in short bursts, not with prolonged staring. She collects details about you in split-second glimpses, so rapid and so subtle that even from 3 feet away, you'd miss every one. This is no accident, it's rooted in evolutionary design. A woman who openly gazed at every attractive man she encountered would broadcast her interest too freely, a vulnerability her biology is wired to avoid. Instead, she has refined a method of hidden evaluation, so nuanced, so effective, that modern eye-tracking research has only recently begun to reveal what women have been doing instinctively for millennia. They're watching. They have always been watching. You simply never recognized what their watching looked like. That changes now. 8 nuanced signals that indicate a woman is checking you out. Some take less than a second, others unfold across a room. Each is genuine, documented, and taking place around you more often than you realize. The 6th sign is the one that will reshape your thinking, because it's the indicator she gives after she's already decided she's interested. The one most men mistake for lack of interest, when it signifies the opposite. Signal 1: the brief assessment glance. Start with the simplest form of female visual examination, the look that lasts under 1 second truly. Studies using eye tracking have recorded it between 0.3 and 0.8 seconds, an instant, a blink, length window of focus that absorbs more detail than you'd expect from such a short span. She's coming toward you on the sidewalk. Her gaze is straight ahead. Her face shows no expression. In the half second before she passes, her eyes shift downward, across, upward, a quick 3-part scan that covers your physique, your face, and your general shape in one seamless motion, so swift it appears she didn't glance at all. That's the brief assessment glance. It is the most frequent way women check men out, not the drawn-out, lingering look, not the overt second look. A micro-evaluation so rapid and so smooth that the man on the receiving end almost never perceives it. Studies in visual perception indicate that people can gather a remarkable amount of data from a single short look. Facial balance, body proportions, grooming, posture, perceived assurance, health indicators. All processed in under a second by a brain that has been conducting these reviews automatically since adolescence. She noticed you. She measured you. She did it so quickly you assumed she was looking elsewhere. Here's how to begin recognizing it. Quit searching for extended stares. Start noticing the tiny shifts. The brief sideways eye movement as she walks past. The momentary downward flick when you're ahead of her in line. The rapid sweep that takes place just before she casually diverts her gaze. These are the actual reviews, occurring repeatedly every day in every public place you visit. You've been waiting for the obvious glance. She's been giving you the hidden one. It's time to adjust your focus. Signal 2: the edge of vision watcher. This occurs when she's already noticed you and wishes to keep observing without being detected. It's one of the most intriguing behavioral patterns in female social processing. She's not facing you. Her head points elsewhere. She's chatting with a friend, looking at her phone, seemingly engaged in something unrelated to you. Yet her attention is fixed on your location like a receiver tracking a transmission. This is edge of vision monitoring, relying on peripheral sight to maintain visual awareness of a subject without direct eye contact. Women are notably more skilled at this than men. Research on visual processing indicates women possess a broader functional peripheral range than men. They can absorb visual input from a larger area without moving their eyes or head. This isn't learned, it's neurological. The female visual system adapted to survey wider surroundings, likely to track multiple children, read social cues, and evaluate potential partners, all while avoiding notice. What this means practically is a woman can gaze at her phone, while simultaneously following your movements across a space. She can converse with a friend while observing whether you're coming nearer or moving away. She can seem entirely indifferent to your presence, while her visual system relays a constant flow of details about your location, your actions, and your interactions. How can you tell it's occurring? Watch for the head shift when you move. If you change spots and she subtly adjusts her orientation, even without directly looking, her peripheral system just recalibrated. She shifted her visual field to keep you within it. That's not random, that's observation masked as unconcern. Another clue, she's staring at her phone, but nothing on the screen changes. The display is fixed, her thumb isn't moving. She's using the phone as a cover, a socially acceptable object to fixate on while her peripheral vision does the actual task of watching you. She's been tracking you all along. She's just more adept at it than you are at noticing. Signal 3: The layered assessment. When a woman progresses beyond the quick glance and enters a deeper review, her visual pattern follows a distinct sequence documented across multiple studies in body language research. I refer to it as the layered assessment. Once you grasp its framework, you'll spot it everywhere. The sequence consists of 3 phases. Phase 1 is the facial review. She looks at your face first. Eyes, jawline, mouth. She's evaluating facial symmetry, grooming, and expression. This is the initial filter. If the face doesn't meet her criteria, the sequence typically stops here. Phase 2 is the body survey. Her gaze drops from your face and travels downward. Shoulders, chest, arms, torso. She's evaluating physical health indicators, posture, and balance. This is where body language becomes critical. A man who stands straight with open, relaxed shoulders will rate much higher in this phase than a man with identical features who slouches, folds his arms, or carries tension in his frame. Phase 3 is the return. Her eyes come back up to your face. This is the decisive phase. If she ends at phase 2 and looks away, she assessed and lost interest. But if she completes the full circuit and her gaze returns upward, she liked what she saw on the way down, and she's revisiting the features she started with. The complete pattern, face to body and back to face, is the full assessment, meaning you cleared every step along the way. Here's the detail that makes this useful. This assessment usually occurs when the woman believes she's unseen. She does it when your attention is directed elsewhere, when you're talking to someone, when you're absorbed in your phone. She times it for moments when your focus is away from her, allowing her to conduct the full review without risking eye contact. This means the only way to catch it is to observe without appearing to observe. Peripheral awareness works in both directions. If you practice monitoring your environment with a relaxed focus rather than narrow attention, you'll begin to notice layered assessments that were previously invisible to you. The woman at the neighboring table whose eyes traced your form while you studied the menu. The woman at the gym whose gaze followed you across the room while you were mid-exercise. The woman on the train whose eyes ran the complete sequence in the few seconds you were looking at the route map. They're assessing, constantly. You're just missing the test because you don't know when it's being given. Signal 4: The second look she thought went unnoticed. The quick glance is fast, concealed, designed for denial. But sometimes the data from that initial look is striking enough that her brain requests a second sample, and that's when the second look occurs. She looked once, looked away, and then within 1 to 3 seconds looked again. The second glance is the giveaway because the first could have been random, an involuntary eye movement, an unintended sweep. The brain processes thousands of these daily without conscious intent, but the second look is deliberate. Her conscious mind reviewed the information from the first glance and decided it needed more time with the stimulus, more exposure to whatever it was about you that registered as worth a second investment of attention. The female second look is nothing like the male version. When a man does it, it's clear. Head turns, eyes widen, sometimes his whole body shifts. It's a reflex with no finesse. When a woman does it, it's nearly invisible. The second look appears disguised as something else. A glance at the clock behind you, a scan of the board above your head, a look toward the exit that happens to cross your path. She constructs a plausible cover for the second look in real time, creating a believable visual target that lets her eyes pass over you again without seeming purposeful. But the timing between traces is key, 1 to 3 seconds after the first glance. That's the window. If you notice a woman's eyes moving your way twice within that span, the second time with a fabricated path that just happens to include you, that's a second look. She's seen something appealing, and her brain is asking for more data. Here's an extra nuance. Pay attention to her expression between the first and second look. In that short gap, you might catch a micro-expression, a slight parting of the lips, a barely noticeable softening around the eyes, a tiny tilt of the head. These are unconscious aesthetic appreciation responses, her face reacting to the data before her social mask can reassert control. If you catch that micro-expression between looks 1 and 2, you're not just seeing a second look, you're seeing a woman genuinely affected by what she observed, unaware that you noticed any of it. Signal 5. Deliberate repositioning. This signal moves beyond looking into action, because sometimes a woman's interest in a man she's observed triggers a behavioral response that goes beyond visual review. It prompts movement, physical, spatial, intentional movement designed to improve her position relative to yours. She was across the room, now she's nearer. She was facing elsewhere, now her body angles toward you. She was with a group at the far end of the bar, now she's ordering a drink 2 seats away. Deliberate repositioning is what happens when a woman has finished her visual assessment, decided she's interested, and starts the next stage, making herself accessible for interaction. She can't approach you directly, social norms, evolutionary instincts, and personal safety considerations all discourage it. But she can place herself in your vicinity. She can close the distance between you to a point where conversation becomes feasible, even likely, where all you'd need to do is turn, notice her, and speak. This is the female equivalent of making a move, not a verbal one, but a spatial one. She's approaching with her body placement while preserving the plausibility of never having technically walked over to you. She just happened to end up close by, just happened to need a drink from the bar nearest to where you're standing, just happened to find a spot that puts her right in your sightline. The complexity of this behavior is notable. Research on proxemics, the study of human spatial relationships, shows that women adjust their interpersonal distance with much greater precision than men. They calibrate closeness to show interest while keeping enough space to maintain deniability. It's a spatial negotiation happening in real time, with adjustments based on your reactions, the social setting, and her ongoing assessment of risk versus benefit. If you observe a woman who wasn't near you is now near you, with no practical reason that fully explains the change, she placed herself there for you, not accidentally, not coincidentally, but deliberately. The approach has already occurred. You just didn't recognize it because it didn't involve words. Signal 6. The glance away that isn't a no. This is the one I mentioned that would change your perspective. Because this signal is the most frequently misread sign in interactions between men and women, and that misinterpretation leads to more missed chances than any other error in social perception. You notice her looking at you, your eyes connect, and she instantly looks away, quickly, almost with a start, downward and sideways, like she's been caught doing something forbidden. Most men interpret this as a lack of interest. She looked away. She doesn't want eye contact. She's not interested. So they disregard it, move on, never give it another thought. That reading is entirely wrong. When a woman is caught looking at a man she finds attractive, looking away isn't rejection, it's embarrassment. It's the automatic reaction of someone engaged in a private act, assessing you, and unexpectedly discovered in the middle of it. The quick avoidance is her social brain taking emergency action. He noticed me looking. Look away now before he understands I was staring. The key detail is direction. If she looks sideways with a neutral expression, that's indifferent. She might genuinely have been looking past you. But if she looks down, especially down and to one side, often paired with a restrained smile or a slight flush on her cheeks or neck, that's an attraction response. The downward look is a submission cue in primate behavior, indicating vulnerability and acknowledged interest. The restrained smile is her emotional state slipping through her attempt to stay composed. The flush, if it appears, is an automatic cardiovascular reaction no one can consciously control. Now here's the part that should alter everything. What happens after the look away is the most revealing element of this whole sequence. Wait 5 to 15 seconds. If she looks back at you within that time, the signal is confirmed. She looked, was caught, looked away in embarrassment, and then her attraction overcame her embarrassment and drew her eyes back to you. That's the full cycle, and it's one of the most dependable signs of genuine interest in all of nonverbal communication. The loss is that most men never wait for the return look. They see the initial look away, mark it as rejection, and shift their attention elsewhere. By the time she gathers the courage to look back, he's already gone, already scrolling his phone, already mentally removed from the interaction before it started. She didn't reject you, she was flustered that you caught her admiring you. Those are fundamentally different things, and mixing them up has been costing you opportunities you'll never even know existed. Signal 7, the indirect display. This signal operates through self-directed actions, revealing a level of female social behavior most men never notice. She doesn't look at you, move near you, or speak to you. Instead, she does something to herself, intended not for her own sake, but for yours. She adjusts her outfit, smooths her dress, touches her hair in a slow, deliberate way that isn't about fixing it but about drawing focus to it. She tilts her head to expose her neck. She shifts her posture to lengthen her line. She applies gloss in your sightline. She crosses her legs in a way she knows creates a particular visual effect. These are indirect displays, actions directed at herself that are actually meant for you. She's not fixing her hair because it needs fixing. She's fixing it because you're watching, or because she wants you to watch. She's performing self-grooming behaviors that act as an indirect presentation, designed to make herself more noticeable in your visual field. This is one of the oldest forms of mate attraction behavior. Self-grooming in the presence of a potential partner has been observed across species for decades. In humans, the actions are more polished, but the purpose is the same. She's not enhancing herself for vague reasons. She's enhancing herself for a particular audience, you. Here's the key that separates deliberate indirect signaling from ordinary grooming: timing. If she adjusts her hair, clothes, or posture within moments of you entering her space, or within moments of making eye contact with you, the grooming is provoked by your presence. It's an unconscious reaction to being seen by someone she wants to impress. If the same actions happen randomly with no connection to your position or attention, they're just grooming. But if you see a pattern where her self-adjustments cluster around your arrivals, your glances, and your proximity, she's performing for you. And the performance is her silent way of saying, without words, without direct eye contact, without anything that could be called pursuit, look at me. I want you to look at me, and I want you to like what you see. Signal 8, the room sweep that lands on you. This is the final signal, the most complex and the one demanding the keenest awareness to perceive. She enters a space, a restaurant, a bar, a gym, a cafe, any shared setting, and within the first moments, she scans. This is typical. Everyone does it. When we enter new places, our eyes move across the environment to get oriented, check for threats, locate acquaintances, spot exits. It's basic human spatial awareness. But watch where her scan finishes. A neutral room sweep is random. It drifts across the space with no fixed endpoint and stops wherever it happens to stop. A sweep motivated by attraction has a target. It moves across the room as if searching, then pauses briefly but clearly on a specific subject. If that subject is you, every seemingly arbitrary eye movement, before that was actually navigation. Her visual system was mapping the space to find you. The moment it did, the sweep ended. Objective complete. This is most visible in places where she expects to see you: a regular coffee shop you both visit, a gym you both use, a workplace, a social event where your attendance was anticipated. She walks in and scans, and within the first 3 seconds, her eyes locate you. Not because you're the most noticeable thing in the room, but because you're the thing her brain was seeking before her conscious mind admitted it. And here's the more advanced layer. What happens after her sweep finds you is the secondary signal. If she spots you and immediately looks away, she was checking if you were there, confirming your presence, fixing your location so her edge of vision system can take charge. If she spots you and holds for a moment, even half a second, she was looking for you and was happy to find you. The hold is satisfaction, the brief pause of a search that found its aim. If she spots you and then visibly adjusts, straightens her posture, touches her hair, changes her direction to move nearer, you've just watched the entire chain unfold in real time. Scan, locate, confirm, adjust, approach. A complete behavioral sequence triggered by your presence and executed within seconds of her arrival. She was searching for you before she realized she was searching. Her brain found you before her mind could pretend it wasn't hunting. That's not chance. That's priority. You are a priority in her visual hierarchy. She enters spaces already scanning for the one thing her attention desires most, you. I want you to try something. Tomorrow, not next week, tomorrow, go to a public place, a coffee shop, a bookstore, a park, a gym, wherever you'll be around women in an ordinary, everyday context. Instead of moving through your usual narrow focus, expand your awareness, soften your gaze, widen your perception. Stop just looking at the world and start observing it. Watch for the tiny movements, the half-second glances, the edge of vision monitors, the layered assessments that occur while you're not looking, the second looks disguised as random shifts, the deliberate repositioning that brings someone nearer without explanation, the glance away you once took as disinterest, the indirect grooming that suspiciously coincides with your arrivals, the room sweeps that always seem to conclude at the same point. You're going to notice things you've never noticed before, not because they're new, but because they've been taking place your whole life, and you've been overlooking them. Every trip to the store, every morning commute, every gym session, every social gathering, women have been observing you, evaluating you, placing themselves near you, and sending signals your untrained eyes dismissed as background static. That static was never static. It was data. It was information about your own appeal being communicated to you constantly by the very people whose opinions you've been eager to know. And you missed it. Not because you're unobservant, but because you were searching for the wrong thing. You were watching for the floodlight when you should have been tracking the stealth beam. Now you know what the stealth beam looks like. Now you know where to find it. And now you know that the world has been focusing on you in ways you're only starting to comprehend. The question was never, do women find me attractive? The question was always, am I seeing what's already happening around me? Starting tomorrow, the answer to that question changes permanently. If this video just shifted your view of your own reality, subscribe. This channel is for men who want to see the world accurately, not through illusion, not through hopeful thinking, but through trained, exact, psychologically grounded observation that uncovers what's actually happening in the spaces between people. Drop a comment and tell me where you think you've been missing these signals most. The gym, the office, the coffee shop, public transit. I want to know where your blind spot resides, because once you identify the environment where you've been most unaware, that becomes your practice ground. The place you go tomorrow with fresh eyes and finally see what the world has been showing you all along. I'll see you in the next one. Keep watching.